Hello, so continuing our 10 days Power BI Hackathon project, in today's video, we are sitting in as a data analyst or business analyst for a mid-sized international retail company that specializes in Christmas season products across 10 different countries. Now, if you're watching this in December, I just want to wish you a happy or a Merry Christmas, alright? And I really do hope you enjoy this particular video. It's Yeah, we are just celebrating Christmas. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So I digress. Let's continue. So it says each year the company launches a massive seasonal campaign offering items such as decorations, gifts, electronics, clothing, toys, and various holiday essentials. All right. As you say now, the leadership team, all right, of this particular company, okay, wants us, okay, or they want to understand the sales pattern, the consumer behavior, and the profit drivers during this year's Christmas period. Okay, they also want insider will help them in refining price, inventory planning, and marketing strategies for the following years. And so, attached this particular video, all right, you'll find the data set for this particular video or for this particular project in the description box below, and then you can go in there, download it, and follow along as I take you through this project. All right. Now, these are the business questions or the business objective that the management is actually looking for us to, help answer. Okay, so it said management wants a comprehensive understanding of consumer behavior and sales performance across the countries, including. So management wants to see the total sales, what the total sales is, what the total sales is, excuse me, what the total cost is, the total profit, and the total tax. All right. They also want to see sales trend, all right, by daily and hourly. Then which age group buys the most, etc. All right, and NCL. Okay, so this is our business objective, and as data and business analysts, it's our main responsibility and duty to go into this particular data set and derive the information that businesses or management is looking for. And so this is what we are looking at, and I'm going to take you through answering all of these particular questions. Okay, and so if you are ready, take get something, all right, excuse me, get ready as we dive in, all right, and as I take you through this amazing project. All right, so let's jump right in. All right, and so into this project, this is the entire completed project that we're actually hoping to see. Okay, and so this is page one and the page two. Now it could be slightly different, it really doesn't matter, but we're going to be sure to answer all of the questions. Okay, and so like I always say, be sure to add your own style, all right, add your own thing so that you can make the project yours, so that when you are being asked what you did with this particular project or to this particular project, you also have something to say. Okay, so let's jump right in. Now to begin with, I'm going to go right in and I'm going to select my design background. Now my design background has already been created in PowerPoint. All right, so you can see it right there. This is my design background. Now don't be scared. I'll be leaving the design background for this particular project in the description box below alongside the data set, so you are free to go in and check it out. All right, I'll also probably be making a video on how to prepare and create something like this and how to save it before probably this video goes live, so you don't need to be afraid. Everything will be sorted out for you. All right, all you need to do is to pay attention and then try it out, all right, during your free times. Okay, so I'm going to come right here and I'm going to go to canvas background because I have it as picture. Okay, and so this is the first one, and I'm going to select this. Now once I've selected it, all I need to do, excuse me, is to reduce the transparency, and voila, we have it here. Now I'm going to go to the other one, all right, and I'm going to select the other picture, all right, the other design background picture, and again I'm going to do the same thing. And yeah, so now we have our background design for this particular project sorted out. That was so easy, and it's easy because I'd already done that in PowerPoint, and in fact it's actually easier to do it in PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is more reliable than if you are doing it in Power BI. In my that's in my experience. All right, excuse me, in my experience, someone else might be different, but that's what I think. All right, and so we have our design background, and now what we are going to do is we're just going to go right in and start answering or helping the business solve the question that is provided for us. All right, and so we are going to go right in and let's look at the first question. So the first question says, now manager wants a comprehensive understanding of customer behavior, sales performance across the countries, including. So the first question is, what is the total sales, the total cost, the total profit, and the total tax, all right, during this period. Okay, so that's what the company is looking out to find out to understand. They want to know what the total is, the total cost, profit, and the total taxes. All right, and with this, we are going to be using what we call DAX measures. All right, to find them. All right, and so I've already created my DAX measure. So this is my measure table for it, and I have my profit. So this is my total profit, my total revenue, the total tax. All right, and the total cost. All right, so I've already created them. Now I'm going to show you how the syntax or the formulas are, so that you can keep that in mind and follow along, especially if you're a new beginner. Okay, so for total profit, it's just profit is equal to, so you're just going to change the title to profit, or you can also make it total profit. That is fine. And then you are going to use the aggregate function sum. All right, and then once you use the sum, I have a video on all of this on DAX and all of that. You can check that out. So sum, and then you are going to select the profit, because we have profit in our data set. All right, the reason why we can use that is because we have profit in our data set, and this is it. So we are looking for the summation of all the profit. All right, and so that is just the logic behind this. Okay, all right, so the total profit, that is how I found it. And then revenue as well, we are looking for the sum. So that one again, total sales. All right, so total sales are total revenue. So you can just change this and make this total sales, which also total revenue. That is fine. This is also the same formula. And then we have our tax, and that again we use the sum. All right, so everything was sum. So we could have used aggregate. We could have used, sorry, uh, um, um, uh, we could have used average, excuse me, we could have used count, mean, max. There's so many DAX formulas out there. But since this is a beginner friendly tutorial, all right, we decided to stick to the basics. Okay, and so these are the measures that I've created, and they all answer these questions. All right, they all answer the question one. Okay, and so once we have that, all we can do is we are just going to select all of them. All right, so I'm going to select my total profit, I'm going to select my total revenue, total tax, and the total cost. And because they are KPIs, I need to show them. Everyone needs to be able to see them at first glance. We are going to be using what we call the cars to show this. All right, to illustrate this. So I'm selecting the cars, and this is what we have for the cars. And now all we need to do is to go in there and format this. Okay, so we'll be formatting the cars. And if you've been following, we've done this a couple of times already. It shouldn't be anything difficult at this point. All right, we are going to go right in, and we are just going to do our formatting. So we don't want any background, right? And we don't want any gaps between them. All right, okay. And then now what we are going to do is that we are just going to, for now, then let's go to cars. All right, so what I like to do is I like to take them one by one. Okay, I like to take them one by one, and then I work through them all one by one. All right, so divider, and then we don't want the background. Okay, all right, so now we come to the call out. All right, we come to the call out, and that's where you can increase or decrease your value, your font size. All right, so this, and then now we want to reduce this all the way to about 15. All right, so that makes sense. Okay, and we want this to be white, the color to be white. All right, good. Okay, and we want that in the middle, station aligned or station in the middle. Okay, so that's that. But I think we can also do the labeling right here. So let's do the label. Now the labels are this total cost, tax, revenue, profit that you see down there. Okay, so we can format that as well. Okay, so let me just reduce this a little bit, and again I'll be changing their font colors to white. All right, so now you are not seeing anything, but that is fine. We'll do the magic once we are done. Okay, all right, so we are done with this. Now we can go right here, and for the effects we can just turn the effects off. All right, and then voila, we have everything sorted out. So now all you need to do is to reduce this a little bit, just to fit the space that we've provided for it. All right, so just to fit the space. Okay, and then now we are done with the first question. So the first question, which says they want to know the total sales, the total cost, the total profit, and the total tax has been done and dusted. All right, so that is just what we've just we just completed. Excuse me. So that's what we've just completed. All right, and so we are moving on to the next question. And what is the next question? The next question says, how are sales trending daily and hourly? All right, so how are sales trending daily and hourly? Now if you come into our data set, all right, or you come into our report page where we are doing our work, okay, and then we go here. So this is a actual data set. Okay, because with this I did a little bit of something. All right, now initially we had, all right, so let me actually how do you call it, let me bring the data set or import the data set into Power BI once again, and then take you through this short period. All right, and then we'll come back to the work a minute. All right. So before we continue, I wanted to start a little something, touch on a few things before we continue. So these are the data sets that are actually in this project, all right, as we work on. So there are three different Excel files, okay? So I selected all of them. First off, I selected all of them, then we send them to the transform data so that we can do our data cleaning. All right. Now we'll be going back. We are just digressing a little, but we'll be going back to continue. But just so you understand. All right. So first, if you first or when I first imported everything into Power BI, went to the transform section. All right. This is how the data set appeared. So now with countries, this is how you are going to see it. I don't know how you're seeing it, and but this is how you are going to see it. This is how it's supposed to appear as. You are going to see column 1 and then column 2 and then country and image URL. Now this is wrong, all right, because we need this as a column header and then this as a column 2 header. All right, so what you are going to do is once you come here is you go to first row as headers and then do that, and then it's going to position them all where now you have the country as your header and the image URL as your header. All right, so this is the first thing you do when you are doing your transformation or your data cleaning, during the data cleaning process. So this is for country, and now you go to purchase type. And you realize that with purchase type is also appearing the same. So all you need to do is to go here, use first row as headers, and then do that, and then you're going to position them all for you. Then now we can go to our Xmas data set, and with this everything seems okay. And so here we don't have to do any more data cleaning because we are done with the data cleaning process for this. This as well, we are done with what we are supposed to do. So this is fine. But with this, if you pay attention to the question, the second question says how sales are trending daily and hourly. Okay, but if you come right in here, okay, if you come right in here, you can see we have time and it's hour and minute. All right, so it will be difficult for you to find for hour. All right, and especially even if you're able to get for hour, because some people will just come here and then go to hour. All right, and you are not even see some people just come here and then just go to hour, click this and then go to hour. But then you should understand that the hours are in AMs and PMs. Okay, so AMs and PMs, and so the first thing to do is to split this particular column where you have your EMs and your PMs in one particular column, so that now you can find for just your hour without the minute and the seconds attached. Okay, and so what I did was that I just came here because this date is correct and there are no empty cells. Right, there are no empty cells or repeat or repetitions, right, or duplicates. And so all I simply did was that, and we can check if they are duplicates by simply right clicking, all right, and then looking for the duplicate. All right, so removing duplicate, and there's a removing duplicate, so we can just check to see. But I already did that, and so I know there are no duplicates. Okay, and so that's not important. So this is what is important. So what you are going to do is that now if you try splitting this, okay, you are not going to find a split. Why? Because split normally works with text or string columns. Okay, but this is time, a time column. All right, this is time, so you can't really split this. And so the first thing that you do is to change the data type. This is a data type, so you change the data type, all right, to text, and it will allow you to change it to text. All right, so once you've changed the data type to text, now if you right click, you have the option to split, and we are splitting by the delimiter space because we only need the EMs and the PMs. We don't need these semicolons or these columns. We only need the EMs and the PMs, and that is separated by a space. All right, and so I'm going to right click this, and when I go to split column, I go to by delimiter. Okay, and so delimiter, I'm going to change select or enter delimiter. So the delimiter that I'm looking at right now is space. Okay, and then I'm going to click on enter. All right, so now once I click on enter, you can see that now we have our EMs and PMs, and now we have our time. Okay, so I'm going to change this right here, and I'm going to call this AM/PM because these are also going to be important going forward. So AMs and PMs. All right, so this is the column for that. And so now I can just simply come here. Now I can go to my time, and I can go to my hour and say I'm only looking for the hour. And so now I have my hours. All right, so 8, 6, 8, 3, 5, all of that. But I'm just going to change this because if we just leave it as integer and you are not like you might end up summing it and then making the whole thing confusing. So I'm just going to select the text for this. So I want this as text. All right, I want this as text. So this is the first thing that we did. All right, when we were cleaning or doing our data transformation for this project. Now there are a few more things that I like to talk about. Okay, but as we go on, I'll come back and then I'll take you through. And so we are done with that, and that is how I got my time, hour, all right, and my AMs and my PMs. Okay, so if you don't know, that's how we got that. So I'm going to come right back up And the question says you want to find, so let's answer the question. It says how sales are trending daily and hourly. Okay, all right. So now we've gotten for the hourly, but what of the daily? All right, what of the daily? And so for us to get by daily, that is when we prepare the calculated table. All right, and so what I did was that now that I've gotten this, we are just going to close and apply. All right, so that we can get the updated data set into our Power BI. All right, okay. We are going to get it into Power BI, and we are just going to wait a little bit for it to finish loading. All right. Okay. So it will should be loaded by now. All right. So it's loaded. It's loaded. Text relationships. All right. So now it's loaded, and we have it in Power BI. And so these are our files. Okay. But we need to find for the daily. Okay, and so to find for daily, that is Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday. All right, you can't easily find that. Okay, and so we are going to use what we call the calculated table, the calendar table, excuse me, to find that. If you come to date, see the date hierarchy, you only have year, quarter, month, and day. We can't find, and the day is from 1 to 30 or 1 to 31. All right, so the day is 1 to 30 or 1 to 31. So you can't really use this, okay, because this doesn't answer that particular question. Okay, and that is why we had to create the calendar table. And so all we needed to do was click on this, and then we go to new table. All right, so our calendar table, the new table. And then once we come here to our new table, okay, so once we come to our new table, all right, so excuse me, so I'm going to click on this, go to new table. All right, and then I'm going to say, all right, this new table, I'm going to call it calendar. All right, so cal table. All right, and that's how we got this. And for the calendar table, we are going to use the measure calendar, and we are going to say min. So this is how I created the calendar table: min, date, Xmas, date. So I'm using the date. All right, and then close this, and then now I say max. All right, and I'm going to say date Xmas. So maybe this is a little bit ahead, but that's fine, you can just follow along. So I've created my calendar table, and so now if you come right here to the table view, you have my calendar table created. So this is my calendar table. All right, and what I can do is that I can just change this format. All right, I want it in short date, so I want it in short date. I don't want the time and all of that, so I have this. Okay, so now that I've created my calendar table, what I went ahead to do was that I went ahead to create a new column. And for the new column, maybe let's just call this year, even though we are not really going to use it. And I'm going to say year, and then my calendar table date. All right, so my calendar table date. So to create the year from this particular date. All right, and you can as well just create month from that as well. Okay, and so let's create a month. Let's create the month. Let's create a month, and I'm going to say month. All right, and again I'm going to take it from the calendar table date, from this date. All right, and then voila, so I'm taking it from this date. So calendar table, so month. All right, so these are the months. Okay, now what we can do with the month is that we can just format the month. All right, so I'm going to say, all right, so format this. Okay, so let's say this. So because I don't want the month in this column where we have one, I'm going to say format, and I'm going to say calendar, this, and I'm just going to do this and say month. And this is the exact same way we are going to find the weekday. All right, so month. So now you can see it, instead of the 1, 2, 3 up to 12, now we actually have the month. All right, and we can just set the month by, no, that's fine, don't worry, there's some other time. And then we are going to go in right there, and I'm going to create a weekday. Okay, so weekday, so that we can have Monday to Friday. All right, so weekday, but I like to use num. Okay, weekday num, and I'm just going to say weekday from calendar, please, from this. All right, and I'm creating this for a reason. Excuse me. So So we have our weekday from 1 to 7, all right? From 1 to 7. But I don't want it this way. So I'm going to create another column. And this column, I'm just going to call it weekday. Weekday. Excuse me. And I'm going to say format, all right? Format the calendar. Oh, all right. And then go to say day 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And I'm going to close this. All right. So now we have our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. And so I did this because I want to categorize this. I want to sort by the weekday number. All right, so that when we are using it in our report view, we are not going to get the days mixed up. Okay, all right, so that's how we arrived at this particular weekday. Okay, that's how we arrived here. All right, so I just want to take you through that process so that you understand. All right, and so now that we have this, now what we need to do is that you need to come to your relationship. You need to create a relationship for it. Okay, this is your data modeling or relationship, because if you don't relate this table to your data set, then it's not going to work, it's not going to function. Okay, because it's a new table that you've added and it doesn't have a relationship, so we need to relate this. So we are relating it to this. We took this date from this particular table. All right, so all we need to do is to pick this and then drag it to the date, and it's going to create a relationship for you, so that now you can use the date in conjunction with the entire data set, because this particular data set, all right, is interlinking with this and with that and all of the other files. Okay, and so if you come right in here, you can see that we have our relationships already created. Okay, so this is our relationship. So these are just the measures, then the fourth parameter. So these are relationships created. All right, so there's a relationship created, and so that is how it works. And so that's how I created the weekday. Okay, which you can see right here. All right, so you can see it right here. So the weekday. All right, okay, so let's continue. So now to answer the question, sales by daily and hourly, I'm just going to come right here to my measure table, and I'm going to pick the sales, so total revenue. All right, by, I'm going to come here, so to my, so we are looking for the AMs and then the hour. All right, so first I'll pick the hour, because already created this. I showed you how to create this, right? And then I'll pick the AM, and then I'm going to come right up here, and then I'm going to pick the weekday. So these are the three things that we want, all right, or we are looking for, right? Okay, so some of time I'm going to pick this, I'm going to pick this, I'm going to put this on top here, hold on, top here. All right, so let me change it to this now first. All right, and then I'm going to come pick this weekday. I don't want it over there, so I'm going to go to my weekday table. I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to pick this right here. All right, so this is how it's going to be looking like at first, but don't worry. All we need to do is to click on this and then click on that. Okay, and now let's click it up. So voila, so we've created our drill down and drill up using the calculations that we made throughout up to this particular point. Okay, and now all we need to do is to format this in here. Okay, this project actually took a little while. Not that it was difficult, but there were a few things that you needed to pay attention to, all right, for you to work exactly how you want it to work. All right, and so that is why you are seeing it. But don't worry, as long as you follow along, you should be fine. So this is simply saying that, so for the time, all right, so this is the time, all right, so this is the first hour, the second hour, the third hour, the fourth hour, the fifth, the sixth, the eighth. All right, so this is the seventh, the eighth. We use markers to identify them: the ninth, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th hour. All right, now when it comes to time, you know, it's mainly from 1 to the 12th hour, although there are 24 hours in a day, but it's mainly from 1 to 12 hours. So that, and that is why it was important to find the AM and the PM, so that we can say 1 AM 1 PM, 2 AM 2 PM, 3 AM 3 PM. And so if you don't find the AM and the PM, so you just leave it as the time per the hour, then time 1 o'clock. Is it the morning or in the evening? 2 o'clock. Is it morning or in the evening? All right, because normally it's from 1 to 12. You will hardly find people reading time as 13 o'clock or 14 o'clock or 15 o'clock. Although sometimes it does happen, but the standard is 12 o'clock a.m. and 12 o'clock p.m. And that is why it is important to go and find that out. All right. And so now that we have all of this, so the first hour, the second hour, the third hour, but so now it's telling us that this particular hour, the 8th hour, brought in the most revenue, but it didn't bring us the most revenue in the morning or in the evening. And that is why, that is when we can just click on this to check, and we can see that, all right, so the 8th hour brought in the most revenue, but in actual fact, it was in the morning, the 8th hour in the morning, that is 8 a.m. in the morning, the time between 8 o'clock and then 8:59 in the morning, that brought in the most sales. Whereas the PMs in the evening is actually bringing in less sales. All right, so we can actually determine or answer this question based on this and say, all right, so the hour that's actually bringing in the most sales, it is actually 8 a.m. in the morning. All right, and we can go down and say, all right, so 8 a.m. in the morning, which particular weekday did we make the most sales? And we can see right there that it's actually on Mondays 8 in the morning that we made the most sales. All right, followed by Wednesday 8 in the morning, and then it goes down like that. And so this is how the drill through helps us to solve this particular question, and this is how we are solving this question. So now that we understand that, we can simply just go in and format this to make it look more appealing and more beautiful. All right, so let me take this drill down out. All right, and then we can just go in and do that. All right, so now let's go in and format this. Okay, so I'm going to come to my x-axis, and this is the x-axis, and I don't want, all right, probably I'll want the values, but I don't want the titles. All right, and so what I can do is just come here and format this and make this color white. All right, the font color white, and that should be done for now. All right, so that should be done for the x-axis, and then we can go to the y. Now with the y-axis, I don't really want anything from there, so I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm going to turn this right off. All right, okay. So the secondary axis, let's check if there's anything for secondary axis. So I'll be taking this off as well. I don't want anything for the secondary axis, and I can see some gray lines, and I don't like gray lines in my work, so I'm going to turn my gray lines off. All right, and that should be the vertical gray lines. All right, sure. So I'm going to turn that right off. Okay, and we should be done with that. Now I'll be turning on the zoom slider. I really do love zoom sliders. And then for the line, let's just say we are going to use white. All right, the line color, let's just say we are going to change this to white. All right, don't worry, I don't see anything, but that's fine. You see them real soon. All right, now we don't want any shaded area, but we want markers. All right, and for markers, let's just assume in this particular case, for markers, I'm going to use black. All right, as markers. Okay, so that we can see, because if you don't use black, it's going to be difficult to see. Okay, and you can use whichever marker that you want. It depends on you. And I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to make the color black, so now you can see the markers, right? Okay, and then let's go right up here. All right, so data labels, let's add some data labels to this. All right, it looks good, so I'm going to add some data labels to this. And for values, I'm just going to make this dark, and I'm going to make this dark, or should we make it white? Let's make it white. All right, okay. All right, so now that that seems okay, we can just come here, remove the effects. All right, the background effects. Okay, and then for the title, you're just going to say sales trend, hourly, and weekday. All right, so sales trend by hour and by weekday. Okay, and then now you can just change this, make this a little smaller. All right, and change this, make this white. And yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's align it to the middle. All right, now if you want with the markers, you can make it white. It depends on you. You can make it whichever color, it depends on you, but I just wanted to make it black, you know. And so yeah, that's our second question solved. So sales trend, hourly and weekday. And I do hope you understand the process that we took to get there. All right, because it's very much crucial and very much important that you understand the process. Okay, so let's move on to the third question, which is which age group buys the most around the season? So we want to find out which age group buys the most around the season. Okay, all right. So the age group that buys the most around the season. Let's see how we did it for this. I'll make sure. All right. So we just use a few little. All right. So it's fine. So which age group? So the age groups have already been created. So you don't need to use DAX, the if function, or whatever to create the age group, because it has a customer age group already prepared for us. All right, it already grouped them. The data set already grouped them. Okay, so now that we have that, so this is the age group, and they want to know the revenue that each of these groups contribute. Okay, and so we are just going to be using this to illustrate that. All right, and so now we have this. It's just solved. It's so easy. And then we can just format this. So for the y-axis, I like to leave them, and so I like to format them a little bit. Okay, and make this white, right? But for the title, I don't think we'll need a title for anything. Okay, all right. So that is that for that. And for the x-axis, in this particular case, we wouldn't need the x-axis for anything. All right, so we are just going to turn the x-axis off for now. All right, and then with green lines, let's see, green lines, there are no green lines, which is fine, which is actually relieving. And let's see if there are zoom sliders. Let's see. Okay, so we can add some zoom sliders. And then for the bars are this showing the items. So what we can simply do is that for all, we can just select white for them. All right, and that is done for that. So let's add some labels, some data labels. So like so. Okay, and then we can just do this and then make them white because they're outside. Okay, they're outside. We can just change this, the values, and then make it white. So this is simply formatting, and formatting is one of the most important things when it comes to Power BI, if you ask me, in my view. All right, because formatting, it's formatting that takes your data set from it being just visualization to it being proper visualization. All right, and so formatting, in my perspective, I think is one of the most useful skills that you can get used to. All right, when it comes to Power BI. Okay, and so with this revenue by customer age, I think it's fine. So we can just format it a little bit, make this bold. All right, make this white, and then we can decrease this a little bit and align it in the middle. Okay, all right, so that should be fine for now. And then with the effects, let's remove everything so that we can now have just this. Okay, so this is our third question practically solved. All right, so if I answer the question, which age group buys the most around the season? So looking at this, you can see that the age group 1 to 11, they buy the most around this season. All right, so ages 1 to 11 buy the most around this season, followed by ages 12 to 17, and then followed by 18 and over. All right, so ages 1 to 11, the amount that they contribute during this season is around 11 million. All right, just a little over 11 million, whereas the ages 12 to 17, the amount they contribute is some amount over 8 million, whereas people age 18 and over, they also contribute just above 8 million, just a little close to 9 million. All right, and so that is that for this particular question. It's answered as simple as that. So now the question 4 says, which gender spends more during this Christmas season, or which gender spends more during Christmas seasons? All right, so gender, we are talking male and female, or if there are any other genders, we can look at that. All right, and so we are just going to go in here again to our actual data set, and we are going to look for gender. So gender, how many? We only have male and female. All right, we only have male and female. So we have the gender and how much you contribute. This is total revenue. So we have this, and with this, I use this to illustrate this. All right, I use this to illustrate it. All right, and so we can just have this, and I'm going to put it right here because we don't have a lot of items in this particular one. It should be able to fit into this, and that is why I did this. Okay, all right, and so now we need to format this. Okay, it's still a work in progress. So for the x-axis, yeah, you can just make this big alone and then make this white. All right, so for the x-axis, that should be that, but we don't want anything for the title because anyone that takes it should know that that's for gender. All right, okay, male and female is practically gender. And then with the y-axis, we just don't want anything at all for the y-axis. All right, okay, so we have that done and dusted. And then let's see, I don't think there are any gray lines in this particular one. All right, but it's just good to check, it's good to check. And then the zoom slider will not work, so you can see zoom slider is off here, zoom slider can't show. All right, so you don't need to bother with that at all. And then with the columns, that's the columns, this we change that, we make it white. All right, we make that white. And then all we need to do is, now can we add some data labels? No, we can add data labels to this. Okay, and so that works out. Now we can just come to title and say revenue by gender. All right, so this revenue by gender, but let's decrease this a little bit and increase, or make this bold, and this should be white. All right, then we can align it in the middle. Okay, so we've aligned it in the middle, and now the effects we are going to turn off so that we can have this. So voila. So this is our third question solved. So now looking at it, you can see that this is female, this is male, and the females are contributing 14,429,000 to this Christmas season's sales, whereas the males are contributing 14,102,000 dollars to. So the females are actually contributing a bit more than the males in this particular data set in this particular region. All right. So let's continue to the next question. So what is the next question? Now guys, which country leads in both sales and profit? So they want to know the countries leading in both sales and profit. Okay, and so for that, you are just go right in and do just that. All right, so another thing we did right here, all right, is that in order to use, how do we call it, this, as you can see, in order to use this, okay, so what I did was that I'm going to come here and I'm going to show you. So you can see that we have, for countries, we have the country and we have the image URL. So this image URL is for the countries, all right? It's for the countries. And this purchase type, we also have the purchase type and we have the image URL for the purchase type, all right? And so in order to use the image URL, you don't just take it and drag. No, it's not going to work. Or the country URL is not going to work. So what you are going to do is that you are going to come right here, and again, I selected this, my countries, all right? And then this is a URL. So I'm going to click on the URL column, and then I'm going to come right here, and instead of just leaving it under uncategorized, I'm going to go to image URL and select the image URL. All right, and this is going to happen. So after doing this, now you have the right to use the image URL. And with the purchase as well, we can do the same for the purchase. We are going to come right here to the purchase URL column, and then change it from uncategorized to image URL. All right, to image URL. So now that we've done this, it will load, and then now you have the opportunity to use those image URLs. All right. Now sometimes it's web URL, depending on how the data set was given. If it's web URL, you change it to web URL. If it's image URL, you change it to image URL. If it's city and you want to use a map chart, you change it from uncategorized to city, or from country to from uncategorized to country. All right. And so you have the option to do all of that. All right. Once you come here and then you select the data category. Okay, so you can see that we have all of this. Now most of them, or even all of them, they uses internet. So your internet needs to be on when you are choosing or selecting these things. All right, and so for instance, you have a country column, all right, and you want to use a country, you want to use a map chart to illustrate this. It means you need to change it from uncategorized to country, and then from there you'll be able to use a map chart and your countries are going to show. All right, okay. And so in here, I've already done that. So I'm able to use my country image flag. So you see that I've changed it from country. I changed it. You see that as I change it, the country symbol has changed to this. All right. So it will change it. If it's city as well, it will also change to this, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So I'm using my image URL. So I'm going to select this. So this is my image URL. I've already done the setup. Okay. All right. And now I can just go for my measures. So the question is asking for total revenue and profit, right? So it's a which country leads in both sales and profit, okay? And so it's total revenue and profit. So once I have this, I can just select my total revenue and then my total profit, all right? And then that is that. So voila. So you can see. So we can just drag this. Let me just drag this. Oh, come on. All right. So you can just drag it and bring it right here, okay? So you drag it and just bring it right here. Okay. So from here, all we can do is that if you want to sort by revenue, all we need to go and do is that we are going to say, okay, so you want to see the highest countries, the highest revenue by country. So we are sorting by this. We are going to say that, all right, by revenue, actually, it's Paul. Which country is this? Is it Poland? I think this is Poland. So this country is actually bringing in the most revenue. I don't know which flag is this. I've not really taken the time to go through the flags, and I'm not really good with countries. Okay, so forgive you for that. So, but we can see that this country right here is bringing in the most revenue, followed by this country, and then this country. This I know is France. So followed by, oh, sorry. So within we by should be descending on from highest to lowest. So yeah, so by revenue, Sweden is bringing in the most revenue, followed by France, followed by Germany, and then Great Britain. All right, and then it goes on like that. Then Portugal, Germany, Italy. This France, right? Oh, this Netherlands. Excuse me, that's Netherlands, and then France, and then followed by I think one of these is Poland, but I'm not entirely sure. You can let me know in the comment section down below. All right. So for revenue, you can just do that, and if you want to also know by profit, which was actually bringing the most profit, you can just do this, and we can simply you can see that it's actually following the same trend. All right. And so you can see it's actually following the same trend. All right, like so. All right, so now that we have this, you can simply just go in and format this. All right, so first of all, I like to format this name. It's a country. I don't want it as image URL. It's a country. All right, even though I do not know all of the country names. All right, but that's fine. And then with the style, I think I like the style like this. And then with the grid, do we want grid lines? No, we don't want grid lines, right? No, we don't want grid lines. So I'm going to take the grid lines out. And for values, let's work on the values a little bit. So increases, no, bolden it, excuse me. And then I'm going to make this white as well. But this, we are going to make red. No, I don't think there's a color for that. Is it this? No. So red is red, but no. All right. Seems there's a color. So that, and then we are going to make this as well. That. Okay. All right. So now that this is fine, and then so yeah, and then column headers. These are the headers. So let's work on the headers as well, and let's make this white. All right. Increase it a little bit, and then we are going to align it in the middle, and then for the ground color we are going to use this as well. Okay. All right, so we are done with that. I don't want the totals. Okay, so let's take the totals out of it. So I don't want the totals. Get it out. All right, so we've taken the totals out of it, and what next or what else? So for the image, we can reduce the image size or leave it as it is, but I like to leave it as it is. All right, for now. So we are going to do just that, and then I'm going to come here, and we are going to turn off the effect so that everything fits. Okay. All right. So this is it. This has answered that other question. All right. So that's answered. Which country is in both sales and profit? So we are able to see that we know that the country that is leading in both sales and profit is actually Sweden. All right. And so that answers that. So that says which product category generates the highest revenue? What are the best top selling product? Which purchase type drives the highest? So let's look at which purchase type drives the highest conversion, because since they are both going to be the same thing, let's look at that. Now let's check something right over here. All right, so top 10 product. All right, so we will come and do that. But which purchase type is driving the most conversion? So what I simply like to do is that because they are all the same, I just need to work on this once and for all. All right, so now these are going to be slices. Okay, so we are going to use the purchase URL, but we are going to make this purchase type because these are the purchase types. All right, these are the purchase type. The online purchase type. Let me show you. So purchase types. All right, so we have in-store purchase type, online purchase type, and Xmas market purchase type. All right, and so these are the purchase types. Okay, so what I'm simply going to do is that I'm going to change this. I'm going to make this slices. All right, so that when I click on this online purchase type, is going to affect the whole thing, or the Xmas market, or the in-store, whichever one is going to affect. So they are going to be functioning as slices, as you can see. they affect the entire data set, all right, accordingly. Okay, so they are slices, all right. So I'm going to format this for the slicer settings. I'm going to leave it multi-button row. I think this is also fine. Then call out value, all right, or the call out. So let's go to the values, and I don't want any values for it. That's the things that I've written, because they are not actually the names, they are just data, image, whatever. So we don't want all of them. Okay, and so yeah, but what I like to do is I like to close the gap. So that's not from here. I like to close the gap between this and this, because this is too big of a gap. All right, so we are going to come right here, and I'm going to go to gap. Okay, gap. When I say gap, it reminds me of One Piece. I don't know if you watch, any one of you watches One Piece. uh, Gap, Monkey the Gap. He's like my favorite character in One Piece. All right, just that's just by the way. If you're a big fan of One Piece, you can leave that in the comment section below as well. Or I'm not a big fan of One Piece. One that I'm also really enjoying is Gachakuta. Alright? Alright, so let's proceed. So now I have this, and I'd like to come here, remove the title. I don't want any title for it. Alright? And then again, we are going to remove the effects. Alright, so that we just have this. Okay? So now that we have this, we can simply just drag all of this and fix it right on top here. Okay, all right, so that's our purchase. So our purchase type, and that is that for that. So we've answered this question as well. So which purchase type drives the highest conversion? So we'll also be using the field parameter, and then using that again. But again, just one, you can just use that to check on this particular page um which ones people or countries are preferring the most. All right, okay, so now that we have this, now let's go back and solve question: which product category generates the highest revenue? Okay, you're going to go to product category generating the highest revenue. So product category, we are going to find that here. So this is a product category, and there are so many of them. All right, how many are they? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 10 11 12 13. All right, so there are 13 of them. And so what we are going to do is that generate the most, is it the most profit or the most total revenue? So which is the most revenue? All right, and so we are going to pick our measure, which is total revenue. Okay, put that in there. But because we want to know the ones that are actually top performing, let's just say in this case we are going to be selecting the top 7. Okay, because there are 13 products, so let's kind of divide it into two. So the top 7. All right, and then with this we are going to be using the true map, as you saw, to illustrate this. Okay, so the true map is going to show us the top 7 products, all right, bringing in the most revenue. All right, and so this is it, and from here we can just simply do our formatting. Okay, and so let's just do that right away. So with this, we are going to use a conditional formatting, and what I'm going to say is that I'm going to just use gradient and change everything to white. Okay, so I'm going to just change everything to white. All right, okay, so that's for our conditional formatting. Colors and data labels, let's leave some data labels. All right, on this, and for that, the data labels, I think I want them black, right? So black as data labels. All right, okay, so data labels as so, and then for category labels as well, let's leave that as black. All right, so category labels, so black. So name of category, so we like to see them because every other thing is white. We like to have this as black so that we are able to read the items. Okay, all right, so now let's remove this. Yeah, I realize when we use a white, for some reason whenever we use a white, it gives us this problem. Yeah, so let's just use black. Let's just go with black. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why whenever we use white in such situations, it just makes everything white and you are unable to see anything. I'm not sure. I have to do my check on that. But I said that when we use a black, we are still able to see. Yeah, and so now we can just change this and make these ones white. All right, the data labels and data categories. All right, we can just make them white. All right, and so yeah, and then change this as well and make this as well white. Okay, so now that that is done, we are going to go to the title and we are going to make the title proper, so like so, and we are going to make this white, and then I'm going to align it in the middle. All right, align it in the middle, and let's push this, and yeah, voila. So this is the first part of this, and we are moving on to the second part of this. Now if you are enjoying this product and it's something that you are really liking and loving, hey, don't be sure to leave a like and don't be sure to subscribe to the channel, all right, so that when I upload any new video like this, you'll be the first to be notified. And in fact, if you want to learn more about data analytics, Power BI, SQL, Python, Excel, Microsoft Excel for data analytics, hey, then this is a channel for you. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If there's anything you want to ask or figure out, you can leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to check it out and answer. Let's move on. All right. So what is the next question? So the next question is, so now we've answered question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, I think. Yeah, question 6. We've answered. All right. So we've not answered question 7, but we've answered question 8. If we've not answered question 9, so let's answer question 7. So question 7 says, what are the top best-selling products? All right. So what are the top best-selling products? So we are going to come right here, and let me close this and close this. So the top best-selling products. So product name. How many products are we looking at? We are looking at a lot of products. All right. We are looking at a lot of products. 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's just look at the top 5 best-selling products. All right. So top 5 could be top 10, depends on you. All right. So top best-selling product by revenue. All right. So now that we have that, we can just simply go right here to the product and go to our basic filtering, change from basic filtering to the top end, and we are just going to say top 5. All right, and then by revenue. Okay, so we can just put this in here, and voila. And with this, we are going to be using this to illustrate it. All right, or should we use this? No, I think we should use this to illustrate it. All right, so the top 5 best-selling products. Okay, so we are just going to drag this, and now that we have this, all we need to do is to format it, all right, so that it looks good. So these are the top 5 best-selling products. We have Barbie doll being the highest sold product. I do believe the little girls are purchasing this a lot more than any other thing. So Barbie doll comes in first, and then we have the Hot Wheels. So my little guys, they come in a close second, and then we have the third item that means to be Lego Star Wars set. I'm pretty sure the boys are in the Harry Potter puzzle, and then we have the Fisher Price learning toy. So these are the top 5 products that is bringing in the most sales at this particular point in time. All right, and now that we have that, we can just simply go and then do our formatting. So I'm going to format this because I need that. All right, and we are going to change this to white. Okay, but I don't want the title, so for title I'm going to turn this right off so we can have enough space. Okay, and then for the x-axis, I don't think we want anything for the x-axis, so I'm going to turn it completely off. All right, so that's it for the x-axis. All right, so grid lines, are there any grid lines? Let me check to see. So I don't think there are any grid lines, which is fine. And then for zoom slider, I think we can add a zoom slider to this, and that is fine. And for our bars, we want to change everything to white. All right, in this instance we want everything to be white. Okay, all right, so bars, that's fine. And then data labels, should we add some data labels to this? Probably that should be fine. So we can just do this, go to our values for the product, the labels. All right, and make this bold, and then make this black. So the black should be fine. All right, and so that should be that for that. So we can just come here and we can just effects remove it, so that for the titles you can say top 5 products with the most revenue. All right, so top 5 with the most revenue. And now you can come here, reduce this. All right, put this in the middle, this, and then like so. All right, and then we are done with this particular question. So this question, which is asking us to find the top best-selling products, so the top 5 best-selling products, we've done that. Another question now, because we've already worked with the question now is saying, are high budget customers spending more or less? All right, we want to know if high budget customers are actually spending more or less. And so if you come here, we can see we have budget, all right, Xmas budget. So we have that auto group already to be high, low, and medium. So these are the Xmas budget people categorized. All right, let's do that. Now that we have that, all we need to do is to add the revenue. All right, so the Xmas budgets by the revenue to, so that we are able to answer that question. Okay, but before that, I like to do a little bit of, I don't like how this is black, so let's just go into the data labels, all right, for this particular visualization, this one of course, and then change the data labels value from black, all right, to white. Okay, I think that will make a lot of sense. So from black to white, all right, and I think that's fine. And so now we have this, and we are going to visit the same exact visualization for that. Okay, so I'm going to select this, and so I'm just going to come here, format printer, and then format paint this. Okay, and then we can drag this and put this right here. Okay, you can drag this and put this right here. So this makes sense. And so with this, we are able to answer this particular question: are high budget customers spending more or less? All right, as you can come here and say that, all right, even though high budget customers are still spending some significant amount, they are spending around 9,573,000 US dollars. The medium budget customers are actually spending a little more with 9,586,000 dollars. All right, so they are spending just a little above the high high Xmas budget customers. Okay, and so that is a question solved, and now we are moving on to our final questions. So we can come here to question 10: which day sees the most Christmas traffic? And with this, we've already answered that. You can come here, and then we can use this to answer that particular question. All right, so we don't need to re-answer. Question 11 is saying, what are the peak shopping hours? Also, we've answered that question as well. So which payment methods do customers prefer? So which payment methods do customers prefer? Now we'll be working on this. I'll be using the 4 parameters to summarize all of that in one fell swoop. So let's just move on to question 3. Which item should be discounted, promoted, or discontinued? So with this, we are looking at the bottom, the items. All right, so I'll be looking at how I'm going to solve this. I'm going to be looking at the top products bringing in the least amount of sales. All right, the bottom 10 products bringing in the least amount of sales. So that's what I'm going to be looking at, and then based on that, we can sit down with management and say, all right, so these are the top products bringing in the least sales. But looking at this, there are some that we can actually promote, there are some that we should discontinue, all right, and some that probably should reduce the prices. Okay, so before I do that, I just want to add a little bit of this is not part of the question, but I just want to add a purchase type, just so you know, in case we need to look at, or we need to find some item, do some analysis using the purchase type, we can easily just do that. All right, okay, so let me take this off. And now purchase type. All right, so now we have this, and what I'm going to do, so like I said, this is not actually part of the question, but it's something that I added as a plus, you know, just so to make things a little easier for anyone that takes the data set. All right, and so that's that. So okay, so this is one. All right, and what I did was that I brought this right down here. What we are doing is we are bringing this right down here. Okay, all right, and then so we don't want any call out, so we are taking the call out. All right, so that we can have that like so. All right, and then we don't want any gaps. The gaps are too large, so we are going to come to gap and then reduce the gaps. We don't want any gap. All right, so that is fine, and then it's like so, and then like so. All right, and so now that we have that, we can just simply come here, turn off the title, and we can turn this back off so that we have our purchases. All right, so online, market, and then all of that. So we have this, so that if I want to filter by the purchase type, online or what, we can just simply see. All right, so this is 2.3, but online 1.7, and then maybe market this, all right, and then maybe, yeah. So that's that. And now let's answer the main question. All right, so answering the main question, which is, or the final question, which is, which item should be discounted, promoted, or discounted? I'm going to come right here. I'm going to say which items, that is the product name, all right, or the product, all right. So like so, and then we are going to come right here. I'm going to close this, all right, and the measure by is by revenue, okay. And so now that we have that, we're going to come right here and we are looking for the product that are not performing, all right, the product which are not performing. And so first I'm going to select the top end, but I'm going to come right here and I'm going to select bottom, all right. So I'm looking at the bottom 10, okay, or because we use the top 5, let's look at the bottom 10, of course. So let's see the bottom 10, all right, by revenue, okay, and then we are going to apply. And in this case, we are going to be using the tree map to illustrate this. Okay, so I'm going to bring this right down here. Let's stretch it out to fit the entire space, all right, because there's nothing really much to do there. And now that we have this, so Barbie doll is one of the items that is not really good. It's not really performing, all right. So these are the items that are actually performing, the product names that are actually performing. We have the PlayStation, have all of that. So let me check something right over here. Okay. Mm, just checking something. So, all right. Okay, that's right. So these are products that are actually performing. We have Barbie doll, all right. So these are the ones that are really not performing. Okay. So these are the ones that are really not performing. No, these are the ones that are really not performing. Sorry, the filters were on. I knew something was wrong because the filters were on, so that is why. So we are just going to be formatting this, all right, at this point. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so we are going to come right here and I'm going to go to my formatting section, okay, and it's simple. So from here, you just want to change everything to black using conditional formatting. So I just go to gradient, and then from here, the lowest I want to be black, and then highest I want it to be black, and I'm just going to click on OK, just to change everything, right? All right, so now that we are done with that, we want some data labels. Yeah, so this like so. I think that should be done. We can do the same for this as well. You can just change this to be black, all right, to be white. Excuse me. Then we can go here and then change the title to be products not performing. Products not performing. All right, and then we can, based on that, decide to discount or whatever you want to do. All right, and then this should be white, and I want that in the middle. Okay, and at this point I can just turn this off. All right, so we are done with this question as well. So that's question 30. Which item should be discounted, promoted? So we are done creating the visualization, and from here now we can look at it. All right, so this is a total revenue by Samsung Galaxy Keys, and so management can decide, should we continue to, put in more effort in this particular product, all right, or should we just discontinue this product, all right. So as you can see, they want to know which item they should discontinue, promote, or or discount, all right. And so yeah, giving manager this, management can now decide to, all right, so with this particular product, we can say that it has room for improvement. So maybe let's discount the price and see if it will still sell, all right? And then we can also do the same for this. But when you look at items like this, the Gordon Ramsay cookbook, which is making the least amount of sales, management can decide to, all right, so with this particular two product, the Levi's jeans and the Gordon Ramsay cookbook, we can decide to discontinue them, all right? But with this and this, we can just discount them a little bit. And then some of them we can decide to promote them. Alright. So management can use this data set to make informed decisions, alright, on which products they should discontinue, they should discount, and they should continue promoting. Okay. Alright, so that is that for this. Now for our term question, our next question, now you can see that we've exhausted all of the questions. All right, we've exhausted all of them, but there are obviously some questions that management will just want to take a look and then get visualization or answers for. All right, and that is where the food parameter comes in. So I created a food parameter to help management make some really quick decisions at first glance. All right, and so we'll be doing that here. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go select my fold parameter. Now I've already created my fold parameters. I've created this fold parameter and then the measure parameter. All right, so these are my fold parameters. Now if you know what fold parameters are, they help you to quickly take a look at the visualization and answer so many questions using just that one particular visualization. All right, and so I have a video on visual on this particular topic, fold parameters. You can check that out. All right, and so that you get a hang of what fold parameters really is or are, because in that particular video I went into details to explain it what fold parameters are. All right, and so in this particular video I'm just going to now with food parameters, they just work with slicers. So before you even begin anything, you select the slicer or the visualization, which is slicer, bottom slicer. All right, then now you can go in. So I'm going to select my first food parameter, which is this. So this is my food parameters. So if I want information on all of this, if I want the total sales, the profit, and all of tax and anything on this, I should be able to just get it at a glance. All right, and then now I'm going to go to my second food parameter and select that as well. So my second is the measure parameter. So if I want to know the total revenue by payment method, that visualization should be able to tell if I want the profit by payment method or by product type or whatever, that one visualization will show. If I want the tax by all of this, that one visualization. If I want the total cost by all of this, that one visualization will show. All right, and so now that we have this, I'm just going to go ahead and format this. Okay, so for my food parameters, I'm going to leave them as so, and then with this, the multiple button layout, going to make this 4. No, so I'm just going to make this, I'm going to make this rather 4. All right, and I'm going to make this 1 because I want this horizontally. Okay, I want this in horizontal form. So I have this and I'm just going to put this on top here. All right, and let's reduce the gap. All right, the gap is too large. All right, so, and if you know me, you know I normally don't like gaps. All right, I just remove all the gaps. All right, or I close all the gaps. All right, and then with the fonts, we are just going to go with values. We just want it to be bold, and we want this to be white. We want it in the middle. All right, and so maybe I'll not increase this, I'll just leave it that and so, and we don't want any detail labels or background. Okay, and then we are going to come right here and I'm going to turn the title off, and the effects, I'm going to remove all the effects. All right, okay, so now we can go back here, and for this we are going to remove the background for this as well. So I'm going to come here, hold on. Oh, okay, so the button, background, so I'm going to take this off, I'm going to turn this off. All right, or if you want, we can add some adjacent adjacent bars to this, or accent bars to this, excuse me. We can just add some accent bars to this, and we can just make this bold 6, and we can change the color, make it white. All right, just to catch crews, all right, so we can just do that for this. Okay, and then we can just simply click on this, then come here and then format painter for this. Okay, the only difference is that with this particular one, we don't want it that way. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come right here, and then with this, because I want it in a vertical format, I'm going to make this one, and then I'm going to make this 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So now we can bring it right here, and then we can just close it a little bit, and then open this and open that, and then close it a little bit. All right, like so. All right, so that this, and then with this as well, what I want to do is with the accent bar. All right, with the accent bar, I don't want it on the left. Okay, I rather want it beneath it, so at the bottom. All right, so rather than on the left, I want it at the bottom, like so. All right, so I want it like so. So now we've done creating this. All right, so once you are done creating the field parameters, One another thing that is important is that you need to have one visualization, okay? And that visualization is what is going to show the results for these things that you've selected. So it's more like a visualization that's going to show the payment method by revenue. All right, but in this case, we are going to have one visualization that's going to show all of this and all of the result for all of them all at once. All right, and so the visualization we are going to be using in this particular case, I'm going to be using the tree map to illustrate this. So the tree map, now that we have the tree map, we are going to be using our food parameters as the x and y axis. Okay, and so I'm first going to use this, and then I'm going to select this. All right, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to bring this right here. Okay, I'm going to bring this right here, and then we have the column, so that should be fine. All right, okay, and then we can just increase it. And once you increase it, now we can just do our formatting. So in this case, we are seeing the total revenue by the payment method, and we can see all of that here. All right, but if I don't want the total revenue, but I want the profit, once I select this, we can also just see the profit. If I want the tax, once I select the tax, we can also just see for the tax. If I don't want the tax and I want for the total cost, we can also see it for the total cost. But if I don't want the total revenue by the payment method by the product type, once we select that, we can also see that right over here. So the product type. All right, or we want it by the product category, so product category. All right, or we want it by the purchase type, so purchase type. All right, and so that is how the fold parameter works. Okay, so now that we have this, all we need to do is to go and format this as well. Now we have a similar thing here, so we can just copy the format for this in paint. Wait, hold on. Yeah, so we can just go copy the format for this one. All right, right over here, and we are just going to paint it right in here. Okay, all right, so we have that. And yeah, so total tax, total cost by product type, total revenue by product type, by form by product method, total revenue by product method, total profit by product method, tax by product method. If I want by the product category, you can also just do that. So total revenue by the product category, total profit by the product category, and etc. etc. So that is our questions and everything that is needed in this particular question solved, plus an additional one for you to enjoy the round. And so yeah, this is my Christmas gift to you all, and I do hope you enjoyed it. And like I've said, don't forget this Christmas, kindly subscribe. All right, so we started off from here. We answered each and every question from this particular data set. Now you can go over and try it on your own as well, but we answered everything, all 13 or 14 questions. Okay, we answered everything as a data analyst, and we provided management with this intensive um, dashboard, okay, to help them or to guide them in making their decisions. And so, yes, if this brings us to the end of our project for today, I do hope you enjoyed it just as I also enjoyed it. And there were so many things that went into this particular project, and I do hope you also saw that. And so you can practice it again and again just to get familiar with it, right? So that when you go for an interview and you are asked to explain this particular project, how you did it, the methods, the processes, you are able to, share that with the hiring manager or the interviewer. Okay. And so yes, that is that. That's going to bring us to the end of the project, today's project. All right, on our 10 days hackathon, Power BI project, and I hope to see you in the next one. All right. Yeah. So yeah, like I always say, do be sure to take care of yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Bye.